Welcome to Oddball. I'm Amin Elhassan. That's Izzy Gutierrez. And we got ourselves an NBA Finals, ladies and gentlemen, because the Oklahoma City Thunder went ahead and tied it all up. It's 1-1 now as the series shifts to Indiana.
Was
now,
there fear that the Pacers would run away with it and go up 2-0 and then say, hey, the series is over?
I would say this. I wouldn't say there was fear, but definitely the crowd was a lot less confident last night. Like when they were up and the Pacers make a three, you start to hear that murmur of like, wait a second, we've watched this movie again. So I don't think, before the game, I was actually with Raymond Ritter, who was there for the Don Nelson honoring, and we were all at a table, me, him.
Raymond Ritter is the Golden State Warriors public relations guy.
Yes, and a bunch of Mark Spears, a bunch of NBA media people, and Ray was like, he's got no dog in the fight. He literally just showed up to support Nelly. He says, "What do you think is going to happen?" And I said, 15 plus. Like I knew that that's because that's the blueprint.
Yeah.
But even having said that, there was still that little, here we go again. Here we go again.
It was either going to be like that DraftKings line, I think it was 11.5 at game time. It was either going to be the big blowout, or it was going to be another one of those crazy ones where it's just like, what the hell is going on here? But we got the former.
Yeah. But so Izzy, one of the things people like to say is that, success breeds copycats. And so our producers were wondering, of these two teams, the Pacers and the Thunder, which success would be easier for other teams to copycat?
That's a good question. Let's look at what these models are, right? So we've got OKC, which is very much a one-man sort of centerpiece in terms of offense, and everything flows through him. By far the best player, and again, won the MVP, so you could argue best player in the league right now, with quality pieces around him, a bunch of two-way players, little freakish athlete in size there, and Chet Holmgren. The other side being the Indiana Pacers, more of a style team, right? They run, they play they play like Tyrese Haliburton, right? But it's also the coaching that helps you get there. It's also the personnel, 3-point shooters, a couple of two-way players. To me, I think the Oklahoma City one's harder to replicate, because I think I'm talking about the quality of the player at the top. So you need to have MVP level guy. You need to have Kobe. You need to have SGA. You need to have, Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, that type of player at the top. And then with proper coaching, with proper people around you, build that team that can operate around that one guy. That takes a lot, right? That takes chemistry. That takes right decisions on the players. The other one is very much a style situation. It is running. It is, again, not easy, because Tyrese Haliburton's skill set is not similar to every other point guard out there. But I would say that's easier to replicate, because you can create the style and create the pieces around him without needing that one person that's best in the league overall. Like, I know it's difficult to find a quality point guard of Haliburton's caliber, but find the best player in the league.
Let me tell you, while I hear you about SGA, the best player in the league is definitely not easy to find, right? Those guys are rare. But I think Tyrese Haliburton might be even rarer, because we're talking about a pure point guard in today's NBA who is of a star caliber, not a backup, not a guy who just comes out there and facilitates, like star caliber. It's almost impossible to find, because right now in our development system, if you are a smart player with handles and can shoot, guess what they're making you do? They're making you become a scorer. They're making you become SGA, who, by the way, is the starting point guard for the Oklahoma City Thunder. We don't think about that, because he does lead them in scoring. And so for me, I think it's way harder. I know you're talking about the Pacers style. The Pacers style emanates from Tyrese Haliburton. The coaching that Rick Carlisle does, he's able to do it because he has Tyrese Haliburton. If he had a different point guard, I guarantee we wouldn't see Rick be as laissez-faire with their situation. And so to me, it's so rare to find a guy like Haliburton, who's legitimately elite and desirous of playmaking. But if he needs to score, if he needs to shoot, he's really good at that too. In many ways, like, there's always an SGA in the league.
Yeah,
right?
I guess that's where I could lean your way, is that I could replicate the style of play that Indiana does with the right pieces, but not at this level, right? Not at this caliber to get me to the finals. There's been a lot of good run and gun teams that are fun to watch, but Yeah, you're saying to get that to this level, you need Tyrese Haliburton, and that's harder to find because there's more SGA. I'll give you that. I will say that the formula seems like it's been done before more with the way that the Thunder have done it. I just find it hard to replicate because you, again, still have to have the best player in the league.
They're both really hard to replicate. Like, let's make it clear. Like, oh yeah, why don't we just do that? Well, there's reasons why, because you don't have SGA and you don't have Tyrese Haliburton. I guess my thing is the basketball factory that is youth basketball, college basketball, and even early NBA basketball puts guys like that in that mold. Oh, you're good? You're gonna be like SGA. We're gonna feed you like SGA. I'm not saying you're gonna be as good as, but that's the model in which we start to craft your game from a very young age. And like I used to say this about Steve Nash years and years ago. When you think about the great passers, right? Even if you go to NBA history, like the great pass first guys that made plays for others, most of them weren't good shooters to start with, right? It's almost an evolution thing, right? Why are you such a good passer? Because I didn't like shooting because I wasn't good at it. So I do all of this, right? Like Magic Johnson wasn't a great shooter, right? But we love doing all this.
But when they back off of you, you've got no choice but to learn how to shoot.
Sure, exactly. Jason Kidd is another one, right? Like they might get to the place because they're great players and they develop into that. But the essence of like a 10-year-old Magic Johnson, a 12-year-old Jason Kidd was, yeah, I'm doing this because I can't do this. Steve was always a great shooter who chose to pass, which is weird because like if you're such a great shooter, why don't you just keep shooting? As a 50, 40, 90 guy, why are you averaging only 16 to 18 points? But the other part of it is, it's like, oh, I need to shoot. Okay, I'll do it. And like when the necessity comes, and then how do you guard that guy, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's Haliburton closer. And guys like that, like I said, few and far between. Most of the guys, if you're a good shooter, you're going to be encouraged to shoot the ball a ton of times.
I will say that like Tyrese Haliburton is an easier guy, not necessarily to replicate, but to wrap your mind around, oh, okay, that's a team that you could say was led by a similar leader. You just mentioned the Phoenix Suns there. The one that's interesting to me, SGA, like I get what he is, right? In terms of head the snake, leader for a team, scorer as from the guard position. But like how he got there and, you know, whether we can see that coming again for somebody else, I don't think we can because the dude, you know, was number 11 in the draft, fell that far, was traded after his rookie season. That's probably the one where you're just like, wait a second, most of these guys who are MVP are not traded after their rookie season. But I don't know if this is a question of how we find the next SGA, or do we sort of try to figure out what this SGA really is? Because in my mind, I very much point to the 2006 finals with Dwayne Wade, where in his third year, everybody saw this guy coming out of oh, wow, this guy's great. With SGA, a little bit different, but it's also like, I don't know, we didn't expect it. And so now that we're seeing it, we're sort of wrapping our minds around what it could be.
Well, I got to give credit to the Clippers because the day that, like, right when they did that Paul George trade, they were telling everybody, man, we would have given up 10 more picks just to keep SGA. Like, so they knew he was special. Did they know he was this special? Maybe not, but they knew for sure he was someone, like they had no qualms. They gave up a boatload of draft picks that the Thunder are still feasting off of. And they literally lost no sleep over that. But they lost sleep over losing SGA.
Wasn't it Patrick Beverley who says that he told him when he was in the Clippers practice, like, you can be Kobe good, like you're that level of good, and maybe that's where the Clippers are just like, hey, maybe he's right.
That story is according to whom?
According to Patrick Beverley.
I
think SGA has confirmed it though.
Yeah. That's like when LeBron said, I turned on the TV and I saw Kobe warming up and I said, oh, he's about to have like 80 today.
Yeah. Well, I mean, again, if SGA confirms it, I believe him, but
he's a nice guy. He's a nice Canadian boy. It's the polite thing to do, right? Speaking of the polite thing to do is to acknowledge that he scored more points in the first two games of the finals debut than the one and only Allen Iverson, who had 48 in his debut. So one would think he had a huge early lead on that. And so we got to ask this, Izzy, who would you take SGA, or let's start with 01 Iverson.
I think they call this like an elevator series, right? So if you open up the elevator and it's like, oh, Dwayne Wade's there. Do I go with him or do I take the guy I'm standing with, SGA, right?
Yeah, let's start with Iverson. Look, because that's the guy he just passed.
All right, definitely taking SGA. I think obviously size factors in. He's a better defender, probably a more efficient scorer. And yeah, I think it's just a new evolution of today's game. No knock on Iverson. I'd just take SGA.
Counterpoint. SGA didn't step over someone's carcass. So.
Yes. If you want the all-time highlight, yeah, you got Iverson.
All right. So everyone, just so you know, I know where Izzy's weak points are. It's like jiu-jitsu. SGA or 06 Dwayne Wade?
Ooh, man. Look, I'll be 100% honest. In terms of knowing how you're going to get it, where you're going to get it, start the possession, I know this dude's good. It's SGA over Dwayne Wade. Like, it is, right?
Wow.
Look, Dwayne led the league in scoring one time, but it wasn't really what he wanted or needed to do. Like, SGA, it's just part of what he does. Like, he's going to give you 35, and there's really nothing you can do about it. And in today's game, like, I think it's just, now, Dwayne will give you other stuff. He'll block more shots. He'll probably get more steals defensively, maybe a couple of pick sixes that SGA didn't. But in terms of, like, affecting winning, I think they're both right there. So maybe it's prisoner of the moment, but I'm taking Kerr and SGA.
Okay, man. I didn't have Izzy in my bingo
I was
card
flexible like that.
No, absolutely not. All right, let's take it up a notch. What about 2000 Kobe?
Ooh, Froby.
So that's Kobe against the Pacers in the finals. Kobe to Shaq, alley-oop against the Blazers in the conference finals.
This is going to sound crazy. Going to sound crazy.
Come on.
What the hell does SGA look like with Shaq?
Woo! Look, I'll tell you why. I'm going to tell you why. I think Kobe was a more talented player. He was certainly a more explosive athlete, right, at that moment. But the maturity, I think SGA got a lot more maturity here, man. Now, obviously, he's
also like, look, here's the main thing. I don't know what his numbers would be, but I know if SGA was playing with Shaq, Shaq wouldn't be mother effing that dude like the way he did Kobe.
Right.
So I'm going to stay with Shaq. I'm going to stay with SGA over Froby.
Okay.
I'm staying on this elevator.
Let's go. One more. How about Michael Jordan, 1991? For his first finals trip.
This is where I might be stepping off the elevator. I think you've got Depoy level MJ and, 1-2 dribble pull up and just, I think I have to get off the elevator here.
A spectacular move. A spectacular move by Michael Jordan.
Yes.
All right. Well, last one. Steph Curry, 2015.
I mean, I'm already off the elevator, but I'll jump out the window for Steph Curry. I think I'm going to take him and that whole universe he creates just with his skill set.
This is what I'll tell people, like, especially people who are like, oh, he didn't play well in 2015. He put Delhi in the hospital.
For real. Like, he is everything.
He hospitalized the man. Yeah. So all right. So there it is. I guess Kobe's where we get on the elevator.
I'm shocked that you, me, and Michael Jordan are now on a 3-way date on some random Florida hotel.
We're just in an elevator. What are you talking about?
All right, just hanging out in the elevator.
Yeah. Welcome back to Oddball. It's time for another edition of Headlines. Headlines is presented by Remy Martin, 1738 Accord Royal. Exceptionally smooth cognac for all your game day festivities. Please drink responsibly. There it is. Wow.
Responsibly, you see? Responsibly.
Yeah, there's a little bit left in there. Izzy, let me get this started off. So there are reports that there's growing skepticism that Giannis Antetokounmpo will request a trade from Milwaukee. Something tells me that skepticism started when he heard that the Knicks are the ones that were trying to get a deal done.
You think the Knicks are really going to scare him away? Come on, he'd go to the Knicks.
You know what I'm saying? But like, trade me. All right, the Knicks are really interested. They're trying to put together a tsunami package. Never mind.
Maybe Milwaukee's not that bad.
Yeah, cheese curds.
All right, is it my turn? All right, headline. Yeah. Don Nelson, in receiving his Chuck Daly Lifetime Achievement Award, said he was wearing Luka Doncic's sneakers to protest his trade from Dallas. And frankly, it was easy for Nelly to use Luka's shoes since Doncic won't be in a gym until October at the earliest.
Yeah. You got him barefoot and Luka with
yeah. They basically just switch spots. Like Luka's out there in Hawaii, just kind of living it up.
He's smoking. How Luka's the one that's smoking, right? All right. Listen. Next headline. Cavs report that Darius Garland will be out 4 to 5 months with toe surgery. Ladies and gentlemen, that's how you make sure you don't get traded in the offseason. I mean, hey, you could give up a bunch of first-round picks. I ain't going to be ready. So
you could create a surgery. I remember back in the day, they used to say, like, you can never fake back pain, or you could always fake back pain because they can't prove if you have it or don't. If you need a surgery, man, I will just pick a toe. I mean, speaking of not being traded to the Knicks, pick a toe, hit it with a hammer, and then have surgery. I'm good. I'm staying right where I'm at because the toe's not that important.
I feel like that's a little, I mean, I just say I have back pain at that point. I don't have to
I actually have a toe, my left pinky toe, which is available for this exact excuse whenever. Because it's dislocated. And the doctor told me back in the day, shout out to the Heat's podiatrist, they told me back in the day, as long as you can withstand the pain, you never have to fix that toe. And I'm like, that doesn't really hurt that bad. Are you sure? And they're like, yeah. So since 2009, I haven't had to get my dislocated toe repaired. So if I'm ever on the verge of being traded from an NBA team, definitely going to get that thing fixed.
Right now, are you in a constant state of pain?
No. I mean, look. I don't know if maybe the pain is there and just my mind has just blocked it off all these years, or if somehow I dislocated my toe and got lucky enough that the nerve endings aren't really affected, because it doesn't really hurt. I can show it to you, though. I don't think you want to see it.
I feel like that's a headline. That should have been a headline unto itself. You know what?
Headline: Israel Gutierrez in 2009 dislocated his left pinky toe, has never surgically repaired it.
That's it for this week's headline. See you guys tomorrow.